When PlayStation first came out, one of the games I was immediately obsessed with was an obscure title called King's Field. King's Field was the first game created by the little-known developer From Software, and also just happened to be the PlayStation's first RPG. While the original Japanese title never made it to the States, its sequel, King's Field 2, made its way to the US in 1995 and was simply titled King's Field. Confusing? Yes. US reviews were mixed and mostly negative. Reviewers slammed the game for being slow-paced, too dark, and too difficult. Because nobody understood its brilliance! From Software eventually gained popularity for its Armored Core franchise, but stayed relatively under the radar until 2009 with the release of its spiritual successor to King's Field, Demon's Souls. This game became renowned for its brutal difficulty and became an instant cult hit. The game was so challenging, its game director, Hidetaka Miyazaki, had to keep details about the difficulty away from the game's publisher, Sony. But I didn't play it at the time. What I did play was Demon's Souls' spiritual successor. That's a lot of spiritual successors. Dark Souls! Dark Souls was so good that I decided I wanted to experience it all over again for the first time! Which is why I concocted this amnesia potion to help me forget the past 5-7 years? Who cares? Bottoms up. $30 is gonna be amazing. Where the hell am I? Ah, shit! What the hell is this thing? Dark Souls? Play or you die? Okay. Dark Souls begins with a character creator and immediately presents its RPG elements while you choose from a variety of classes with varying stats. We then learn the world of Dark Souls existed in a gray haze with archtrees and dragons. Scary, scary looking stone dragons. Just sort of existing. Scary! When all of a sudden, a fire began. The first flame. With the first flame came the Lord Souls, who were found by Nito, the first of the dead, the Witch of Izalith and her Daughters of Chaos, Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and the Furtive Pygmy. Gwyn and the other lords, minus the Furtive Pygmy who kinda just disappeared, began a war with the stone dragons in order to control the world. With the help of Seath, the scaleless dragon betraying his own kind, they were able to conquer the dragons and begin their domain over the land they would call Lordran. So all in all, it's like Greek mythology's Zeus fighting the Titans for control of the Earth. And thus began the Age of Fire. But, as time has passed, the fire has begun to fade, and the Lord's dominion crumbling to an undead curse causing humans to never die, and slowly go insane, or as the game calls it, hollow. And with that, the game begins with your character in prison, looking a whole lot like the character you created. Beautiful. Some random knight drops a key for you to get out, so it's time to escape from the Undead Asylum. You run through a bleak tunnel, climb out of a well, find your first bonfire, and easily make— HOLY SHIT! No! 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 That's the first enemy in the game. It turns out what you're supposed to do here is run! Run the hell away! Run like you just found out your favorite Mexican restaurant is giving out unlimited free burritos, but only if you get there in 10 minutes and the clock is ticking! I really like burritos. This area with Asylum Demons is actually the tutorial of the game. Yes, this is the tutorial to Dark Souls. That's what kind of game this is. It's here that you'll learn the methodical combat of Dark Souls. Block an enemy and you can briefly stun them to land an attack. Parry an enemy and you'll be allowed a brief window to answer with a riposte. You can two-hand a weapon for extra damage, but lose your shield in the process. You can also dodge away from enemies for a brief period of invincibility. Screw up any of these and you'll be punished. Big time. Man, feels like I've played this game before. It's almost like— Shut up and play. Now that we know how to play Dark Souls, we can head to— Oh hey! It's Oscar, that guy who helped us get out of prison!
Maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know.
So your first goal is to ring a bell. Okay. Oh, also, it turns out Oscar's dying because he'd been bashed through the ceiling by the Asylum Demon we saw before. You know, the first enemy of the game, which you now have to fight to move on! It's actually not that hard. So you escape from the asylum and reach a crow's nest where a giant crow picks you up and flies you into Lordran. Because logic! Here you reach the main hub of the game, Firelink Shrine. Oh look, we can talk to someone. I'm sure he'll tell us what's going on.
You'd have done better to rot in the Undead Asylum.
Good! I'm so glad the crow took us here.
Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are, actually, 2 bells of awakening.
Okay, so we have to find not 1 but 2 bells of awakening. Well, might as well start by exploring. Head past some ruins, travel through the graveyard, avoid the graveyard, and head down the nearby elevator into New Londo, a creepy flooded city filled with ghosts which you can't hit! Avoid the graveyard and New Londo, and head up the side of a cliff towards Undead Burg. Undead Burg introduces Dark Souls' brilliant level design, where both the horizontal and vertical planes are incorporated to make the areas feel more interesting. If you see a drop that looks like a shortcut, it probably is. It's also here that you'll likely discover another unique element to Dark Souls as you make your way to the first boss, dropping souls. Souls work as your currency for everything in the game. They work as experience points for when you choose to level up, they work as currency for buying items, and they make fantastic salsa to put on your burritos. What? I really like burritos. We established this. So, time to head through fire-tossing hollows and up to... Make it past the first guards, fire-tossing assholes, and challenge this guy who does a huge amount of damage and... No! No. Come on! No! I hate this game! Ah! When did this happen? Finish or you die? This isn't helping! If you do die, you'll maintain any items you found along the way, but lose all of your souls. You then have 1 chance to reclaim these souls, but if you die again before reaching them, those souls are gone forever. While the system may seem harsh, what it does is promote exploration. If you're having trouble against the Taurus demon, you can choose to explore around for better items to help you tackle the beast. For example, instead of heading up the tower the Taurus demon is located on, instead you can try heading down it and You really should have seen that coming by now. It's what the game is. If you can run past Havel, you'll make it to the Darkroot Basin, an area you can explore to find the Grass Crest Shield. Even if you die, you'll still keep the items you found, so you'll still feel like you've made some sort of progress. At this point, you can either fight the Taurus demon again, or explore the Darkroot Basin for the, Excuse me for a second. Either way, you'll eventually reach the Undead Parish, home to a raging boar whose only weakness is the butt. Oh, and it's also the location of the Bell Tower Gargoyle, a boss who's somewhat difficult but not too bad. Just kidding! Fuck you! There's 2! It's time to harness the power of the sun!
Why not help one another on this lonely journey?
If you're having trouble against bosses, you can summon either another online player into your world for help, or an NPC, such as the sun-obsessed Solier. So, after murdering the Bell Tower Gargoyles, we find our first Bell of Awakening. Now, onwards to the second Bell of Awakening and off through the Depths towards Blighttown. The Depths actually feel like a pretty nice break in difficulty. The layout's a bit of a maze, but the enemies aren't too challenging. Cursed? While cursed, your HP is half health? Lifting the curse requires a purging stone or the aid of the healer in New Londo? New Londo? Fuck it! I'm playing cursed! Oh, and of course this boss is a giant ribcage. Just what I wanted to fight with no fucking health! Just take me to Blighttown. Nope! I was wrong. Blighttown is worse. This area is filled with rickety bridges, toxic spewing wooden mannequins, heavy hitting cave trolls, whatever the hell this thing is. What is it? And so much poison. Oh, I like Blighttown. Said nobody ever! And finally, you make it to Quelaag, a half-human, half-spider hybrid who can still kill me in one hit since I'm cursed. Thank Gwyn beating her leads to the second Bell of Awakening. So it's finally time to get out of this hellhouse known as Blight. There's usually an elevator there. Okay, so we made it past Blighttown, fought Quelaag Curse, and then finally rung 2 bells of awakening. What could the game possibly throw at us next? Sen's Fortress! That view. Finishing Sen's Fortress, you'll be treated to winged demons gracefully carrying you up to Anor Londo, Gwyn's City of the Gods. Anor Londo once again shows the level of detail and ingenuity taken by Miyazaki and his team to immerse you in their world. The giant city has multiple staircases of varying sizes, one built for giants and one for humans. It's this level of detail that really helps bring Dark Souls to life. Hell, you even end up running over buttresses and the rafters of a church to eventually reach the main castle. This eventually leads you to the boss chamber. Ornstein and Smo, Snorlax and Pikachu, Biggie and Smalls. Sometimes I hate this game! Oh, and if you manage to kill one of them, the other absorbs its powers! Great! Please, please just tell me it was worth it! It's worth it. For beating Ornstein and Smo, you meet Gwyn's daughter Guinevere, who asks you to
succeed Lord Gwyn, and inheriteth the fire of our world.
Inherit the fire? So does that mean I get to be a king? Okay. I'll do that. Of course, you don't get to celebrate for too long, as it turns out your next task is to talk to this thing! Ah! I don't like it! Frompt explains your next task is to fight and kill the other lords to receive their lord souls. In other words, remember the beings that started the world by destroying the ancient dragons? Well, we have to kill them. The first of these comes from the Four Kings, a series of ghostly kings who had been awarded a lord soul fragment by Gwyn, whose minion of choice is an army of Skeletors. In order to actually fight them, you're first required to find the Covenant of Artorias, a ring that just happens to be guarded by a giant wolf wielding a sword. No big. And if that's not bad enough, the game makes you feel bad for killing Sith. How can you kill something like this? I'm a monster! Sith can be found near Anor Londo in the Duke's archives, guarded by more boars, this time donning ass plate technology. It's the future. Once reaching Sith, if you can manage to chop off his tail, you'll receive the Moonlight Sword, which is actually an homage to FromSoft's first franchise, King's Field, as the Moonlight Sword was integral to the plot of that game. To reach Nito, you have to finally travel through the graveyard and Firelink Shrine, which will lead you into the catacombs where you'll travel down to eventually meet Vamos the Blacksmith.
Be gone with you.
I don't think they finished the audio on that part. It sounds kind of grainy. Fuck! Fortunately, Nito himself is surprisingly easy, especially considering how difficult he looks. I guess it just goes to show looks aren't everything. Sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover. But now it's off to a literal hell, Izalith, and the location of the Bed of Chaos boss fight. You see, it turns out, as the first fire started to fade, the Witch of Izalith tried to create a new second flame, but this backfired, creating all of the demons of the world and turning her into this thing. So, nothing to do but take her out of her misery. If it didn't turn out, she was the most frustrating boss fight in the game! First, you have to take out her arms, then somehow make it to her core as she attempts to swing you into various pits or kill you with giant lava pillars. The only way to kill her is by running off of a ledge and praying she doesn't murder you along the way. It's too hard! Once all 4 Lord Souls are in hand, it's finally time to reach your destiny. Succeed Lord Gwyn by inheriting the fire. To do this, you travel underground through a strange, esoteric humanity sprite-looking field and into a giant kiln where the one and only Gwyn awaits. The Lord of Sunlight, Lord of Cinder? That doesn't sound right. But whatever! Beating him, we claim our prize, inheriting the first flame. After countless deaths, insane bosses, and tears of agony, I'm not ashamed. It's time to become a king among men, cure the undead curse, Light on fire! 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 So, it turns out there's an entire hidden plot line. Guinevere is actually a fake illusion, Anor Londo is actually coated in moonlight, and these illusions are controlled by Gwendolyn, Gwyn's son, who's trying to manipulate you into burning yourself alive in the first flame to extend the reign of Anor Londo. In fact, the hidden lore of Dark Souls goes so deep that there are entire hidden portions of the game dedicated to it. Like my favorite area in the game, Ash Lake. In order to get there, you have to go through not one, but 2 hidden illusory walls and down a giant tree. And yes, this entire segment is completely optional. Yes, it's optional to discover that those freaky-ass hydras they can jump! Holy shit, they can jump! Fuck this place! I take back everything I said! And all of this doesn't even touch on the DLC, which is an incredible addition to the game. In fact, there's so much to Dark Souls, I feel like you can make an entire YouTube channel dedicated to it. Dark Souls managed to take gratifying action gameplay, mix it with a strong Metroidvania level design, and still maintain deep RPG roots. The art direction is bleak yet unique, and while the game is known for being challenging, it's always fair, and it only helps to make each accomplishment feel that much more rewarding. Man, that game was really good. I kinda want to play it again for the first time. I know! I'll make an amnesia potion! Bottoms up!